Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We are kicking off a new webinar series in which we're going to walk through and demo AppConnect use cases. And to level set and just refresh everyone's memory, let's talk about what AppConnect is and what it does. AppConnect is Insightly's integration automation product that empowers you and your teams to integrate Insightly with over 500 applications you use every day to run your business. Building integrations is incredibly easy with AppConnect. It's a no-code application that empowers users to create integrations using a very simple drag and drop interface. You don't have to be an engineer to use AppConnect, really. Almost anyone can use it, and it's relevant for almost any application across IT, HR, marketing, sales, finance, support, and product. Let's do introductions next. I'm Melinda Prescher, Insightly's Senior Product Marketing Manager. I've got two exceptional guests with me today, each with their own unique perspective on AppConnect. I'm sure actually that many of you have actually worked already with at least one of these team members. Dan Phillips is one of Insightly's senior technical account managers, and in his own words, he's been living and breathing AppConnect for the past 4 months and helping customers get the most value from their investment in AppConnect and Insightly. Andrea Lodigiani is also with us today. She's a senior customer engagement manager here at Insightly. She's responsible for a team that updates product documentation for customers, so what you see on the website, and she also drives enablement for our customer success teams. So it's absolutely essential that her team has the latest information about product updates from engineering so they can streamline their workflows. She's going to share how her team uses AppConnect to help drive that flow of communication and streamline and simplify the way that we work at Insightly. So before we get into the demos, let's actually take a step back, just again, to kind of set the stage. In the 6 months since we launched AppConnect, customers have designed and built over 300 integrations, and over 2 million tasks, integration tasks, have been run since launch. Some of the most popular apps that customers have integrated Insightly with have been Xero, DocuSign, QuickBooks, Slack, Twilio, Trello, and Smartsheet. And in the words of our customers, AppConnect has enhanced their ability to deliver great customer experiences. It empowers their functional experts to quickly and much more easily perform integrations without having to enter into a formal technical development process. It saved their team's time by automating routine tasks, and it's helped them scale really quickly. And obviously, our team is using it too, which you'll see in a moment. AppConnect has transformed the way that our team works, and what we aim to do in this series of webinars is show you what that looks like to help spark some ideas for your own practice. So I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Andrea. Andrea, let's have you first kind of set the stage and start giving a little bit of information about what your challenges were and what you were trying to solve. I know you're going to show 2 recipes and what that looks like. Start with the first one.
Definitely. So, hello everyone, Andrea. So I manage, like Melinda said, our growing help center documentation team. And we work really closely with our product and engineering teams, as you can imagine. So my team actually works out of Insightly CRM and now Insightly Service for writing and publishing help center articles. We have a custom object for managing documentation requests in the CRM, which is also how I assign requests to writers and track due dates and statuses along the way. However, our product and engineering team works out of Jira for developing and testing new and improved features. So a challenge that we have during the handoff process is when a Jira has gone through QA and ready for documentation, our QA team will send us an email. This was before AppConnect, I should say. So before AppConnect, our QA team would send an email with the ready Jira, and on occasion, documentation was delayed because of human error and bottlenecks. Not to mention the data entry required on my part to take the info from the email and then add it to the CRM as a documentation request record. So what we did was build an AppConnect recipe that would integrate Jira with Insightly CRM. When a Jira is ready for documentation, the QA team tags the Jira, and that tag triggers the automation that creates the record in the CRM. So while this actually might seem like a really small integration, it has had a huge impact for both teams. So the QA team no longer has to draft an email to our team whenever a Jira is ready, which can be multiple times a day. And I no longer, or now I'm able to assign new requests with just a few clicks from within the platform that I use every day and that my team uses every day. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can take a look at what that looks like in AppConnect. So we can see, this is actually a copy of it for simplicity, but our trigger starts at the top. So when my QA team, like I said, updates their Jira, that it's ready for documentation. That's what triggers the whole recipe. So we actually have a step here where we create variables for the two important URLs. It just makes it a lot easier in further down the recipe to integrate that URL address into either the CRM record or the email notification that we still get. And so then it looks at what is that tag that the QA team has added to the Jira, because each tag would have a different action in the sense that if this Jira is for platform documentation, meaning more than one of our products, so things like custom fields that affect all products within our platform, the QA team would add the platform documentation tag. And that way, when it creates the new record in the CRM, that record is labeled for platform. And I then know who to assign it to because we have a technical writer responsible for platform documentation. We also, for good measure, have an email notification that goes to the documentation team so that, again, I know very quickly that I need to assign new documentation to a writer and they can get started writing. What it also then looks at is if it's not for platform, so if yes, it goes down this path, but if it's not for platform, it goes down the no path. And that's when it's going to start checking if it's for marketing, CRM, or Insightly service. So now it's looking, okay, well, was the label then for marketing documentation? If they added the marketing documentation label, then it goes through the process of creating the new record in the CRM, but making it labeled for marketing, again, so I know who to assign the new request to. And then it also sends out the email. We did add this sort of stop step here. This is an easy thing to overlook, but it can also help ensure that you guys do not waste additional tasks by having your recipe continue to run, even though it has hit the criteria that it was looking for. Without this step, the recipe would continue, look to see if it had a CRM tag and so on, which it wouldn't, and therefore it'd be a wasted task. And so then again, you can see the last two steps, very redundant to the first two. It's looking to see what the tag was so it can create the right record with the right labeling. And I, again, know how to assign it. So that's our recipe. What it looks like then in the CRM, a little behind the scenes of the Insightly CRM that we actually use. You can see lots of custom objects here on our left-hand nav. So we're looking at my documentation custom object. This is exactly what it would look like when it's created through the automation. I can see the title of the Jira. I can see that this is part of our monthly release cadence, so it has a quicker turnaround time on my team's behalf. I can see that it is a platform product. And then using our dynamic page layouts. I would change my status. I would assign it to my writer, and then go ahead and press save. And now my writer gets the notification, begins working on the assignment, and will continue to update the status as she goes.
Excellent. Just very smooth, very streamlined, very easy to communicate between teams. Did you have anything else on that one, or do you want to start walking through your next example?
Yeah, I can dive into my second example.
Yeah,
So
great.
yeah, so another team I work closely with is customer success, where I help optimize the customer lifecycle and orchestrate the different touch points along the way. So a big area of focus for that team, as you can imagine, is onboarding. It's the first impression we get with a customer and arguably the most impactful touch point. So as Insightly has evolved from one product to now 4 products, shout out to Insightly Service, our newest product, we have had to evolve how we manage onboarding for each of those products using our own CRM. So what happens is, when a new customer signs up for Insightly and their contract includes a success plan, we convert the opportunity to a project that we call the Success Plan Project in the CRM to manage that account throughout the duration of their success plan, so long after onboarding is complete. But one record can't do it all. We also use a custom object to manage the onboarding process and call those onboarding projects. We create a unique onboarding project for each product the customer purchased that requires onboarding. So that could be CRM, marketing, and service in one contract. The way the onboarding specialist, so that way also the onboarding specialist or the CSM can track the unique needs of each of those configurations without overcrowding one record in the CRM. Then each of those onboarding projects are also linked to the customer's success plan project record so that we have a very complete, holistic view of all of the engagements we've had with that customer while they've been in the hands of customer success. So you can imagine that's a lot of records to create manually when our sales team closes a new customer. So what we did was build an AppConnect recipe that's triggered when a new project is created for a customer. If they require onboarding, the recipe will look at what products they purchased and create the onboarding project record automatically. The recipe also pulls vital information from the organization as well as the key contact record in the CRM, so the person that we're going to be working with primarily during onboarding, and populates fields across the success plan project as well as the onboarding project. So the CSM only needs to look in one place to find what they need to manage that account effectively. So what that looks like, we have it up here. The trigger, as I said, is when a new project is created in Insightly that is called the success plan. So we have a naming convention across projects. We would do organization name dash success plan. Every time a project with that naming convention is created, that's the trigger for our recipe. What happens next, which honestly has been a huge game changer for our team, is the ability to then go cross-object, going to find the organization record that is associated with that new success plan, and then take information from that record to update the project that we just created. So that's things like plan level, subscription start and end date, users, all of that kind of information that a CSM would need to know anytime they're hopping on a call with a customer, but they don't want to keep flipping between different records in the CRM to get that information. So it's all there on the project where they live 99% of their day. So then it looks at, is onboarding required? And then it's creating the new onboarding record with all of the pertinent information on that CRM onboarding project that it creates. Similarly, if the person also purchased marketing, we know that they need to be onboarded in marketing as well. And it creates the marketing onboarding project with all of the pertinent information. And so what that looks like, and actually one thing I want to show is different from the first example that had an if else. So if it hits this criteria, it would stop. If not, it would continue through the other options. This one needs to know if it was CRM and marketing. So this recipe is built so it actually takes the recipe through each step to confirm whether or not it had CRM, 99% yes, or if it had marketing, because it needs to do both if that's the case. So that's what we see here. So what that looks like in the CRM, again, we're looking at another custom object that we've built, and it's our onboarding projects. So you can see that with the automation, it can create the same exact naming conventions that we use across other records. So we can see Lodi Inc. CRM onboarding. It's even been able to link to all of the other important records through lookup relationship fields. So if the CSM or onboarding specialist does need to refer to one of these other records for any reason, they can do so very quickly from this record. And it can pull in, again, plan level, all of the product information. These fields will be updated automatically throughout the engagement. And then we have sort of how we track onboarding. Marketing is going to look a little different. It's going to have the same links up there at the top, same account information. And then using dynamic page layouts on an enterprise level plan, we have been able to use one record or one object, let's say, but have the fields change based on certain criteria. In this case, whether it's marketing or CRM, the fields will be different.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk at all about dashboards and reporting and how it relates to this information that you've shared?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons why it's so important for us to have things in our CRM, as all of you can probably relate, is the ability to forecast as well as report on all of the hard work these teams have been doing. So for my documentation team, having the documentation record in the CRM and having information going directly into that record has made it easier for me to assign more effectively, because I can have dashboards that I can actually show my dashboards. I have dashboards that show me new requests that come in. So even then, it's even quicker. When I know I have when I receive the email that there's a new documentation request, all I have to do is come here to my dashboard and I can see all the new requests here and I can very quickly assign them. But I can also see where our requests are coming from. I can see which which documentation managers are, maybe more impacted than others, so that I can assign more effectively across team members. And again, like I said earlier, this is a growing team. So as we continue to add more writers, the ability to programatize and systemize our process is going to be even more important. So this has had a huge impact on our team. As far as onboarding goes, obviously, again, the ability to see very quickly which CSMs or onboarding specialists are maybe getting assigned too many accounts, that could affect the customer experience, most importantly. And so we use our dashboards and reports to better effectively assign accounts out to customer success managers who are going to have the bandwidth to be able to support that account. We're also obviously able to report on how many requests we've been able to complete, as well as the time frame it took us to complete them in. So yes, records in the CRM are very, very important.
Excellent. That is great. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for that. Let's transition over to you, Dan, and have you kind of kick us off in the same way. Talk to us about, set the stage with challenges and what you were trying to achieve, what your objectives were with the recipe that you're going to go through.
Yeah. So to be clear, we've been using AppConnect all over the place. The one that I'm going to show you today was to deal with an issue that I think a lot of you watching have run into with your teams potentially, which is creating logs of conversations. So One of the things that our customer success team does is they have calls with their clients, and we want them to make sure that we were able to document those calls, and more importantly, make sure that we automatically created a space for the team to document those calls, so that one, we were sure that they were always in place, but two, so there was one less thing that they had to do, because we don't want our success team to focus on data entry necessarily. We want them to focus on being the best members of the success team that they can be. And so what we came up with as a solution to this was to build an integration with our calendar booking service, which we use Mixmax, to basically say when a session is scheduled through the Mixmax calendar, automatically search for that client's details, find their project where we have their success plan located, and create a task against that project for the success manager on the date that the actual calendar event was going to take place, to take that data entry out of their hands. So I'm going to take you through that. It's been a huge time saver for everybody. And it should be actually pretty easy to demo. So this is one of our test organizations I'm going to show you here. And I want to log a call with them. They're in renewal. So I want to make sure that this renewal call goes through. So all I'm going to do as a success manager is go into my calendar, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to book this time. I'm going to use the email that she's created for this organization. And I'm just going to say, oh, it's Andrea Lodigiani. And we're going to book that time now. And great, from my perspective as a CSM, this is complete. What's happening in the background is they're going through our recipes. So I'm going to take you through that here. Mixmax has a webhook system. So we're receiving a webhook from them when that call gets scheduled. And what it's doing is it's then searching for all contacts associated with the email address that I provided Mixmax just then. We do this way because there could be multiple, right? We could have duplicates. We might accidentally pull the wrong one if we just look for one. So by getting all of them, we can then say, hey, if we have more than one, then for each of those contacts that we've identified, we're going to see, do they have an organization record? If they have that organization record, we're going to search for any projects that might exist alongside that organization. And if they have any projects found, then we're going to cycle through those to find out, do we have any where they have success plan in the name? As Andrea stated, that's how we identify which projects are success projects, and also that they're in progress. Because as any company, we've gone through multiple processes over the years. And at one point we were talking about having projects be closed after 1 year, and another time we kept it going. So we had to account for that as well. If we identify a success plan that is in progress, then we're going to create that task, and I'm going to populate all the details from that Mixmax webhook into this task on behalf of that agent. So they don't have to do that for themselves. Then I'm going to link the task to my project record. And then what I also have in here is another thing. We have a specific field called next session date. And this exists to identify the difference between normal tasks that an agent might set for themselves to remind them to do things for an organization, and success calls and success sessions. So this helps us identify when the next session is going to be occurring. If it doesn't find these things, it's just going to continue to cycle through that list. And if it finds nothing, then I've actually set it up to send an email to that agent, letting them know, hey, we weren't able to find this person. Here's the date of that call. Here's their name. Can you make that task yourself and add them to the system? So we've set this up in a way to make sure that it can't fail. What's great about this too is that I can double check any of those jobs at any time. So here I can say, hey, we had that job that I just pushed through. There it is right here from today. And I can go through any of these steps to say, what were we searching for? Oh, we were searching for this. How many did we find? Well, if I go to output, I can see we found just the one. And I can do that for each of these steps to see exactly what the system saw and what we did, which can be really helpful. And then just as an aside, this isn't something that we plan to talk about, but it's one of my favorite features here is versions. So if I change this recipe and I mess up and everything breaks, I can just click on versions and click on my previous version, and it will revert the recipe back to that functioning recipe. And I don't have to worry about now having to remember what I changed. It's just there. So now if we go back into our lovely project, I can go into my activity tab and you can see there's my call right here assigned to Andrea, who's fantastic on the date that I actually told it to assign it, with all of those details filled in.
Excellent. Dan, I really can see how this could save the CSM's time. I mean, there's so much time savings here. Do you want to dive into that a little bit further?
Sure. I mean, if you think about the number of calls that you or your team might make in a given week, a success agent will be doing many calls a day of different sizes, right? They could be a 45-minute session, they could be 10 minutes, they could be just a quick 5-minute call. But all these things we want to, as an organization, document because we want to know what happened. And we want them to be able to focus on doing their jobs, making sure that these customers are able to get the service that they essentially wanted when they signed up for a success plan, as opposed to having to have those agents focus on data entry. So it can be a really huge time saver here. And I do want to point out, like, this is one example of a recipe that we're doing to benefit this team. Drea showed another. We have a bunch. We have recipes that do Slack notifications. We have recipes that do calculations, just data integrity. There's so many different applications of this system that you can utilize in a cross-object way, in a multi-platform way, in a tech stack way. The sky is really the limit, and it just comes down to what are the needs of your team.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thanks so much to both of you for sharing all of this. This is really, really helpful to give people an understanding of exactly, how are we using it and what are our best practices? So thank you for that. And just want to close out again. Thank you to everyone for joining, for taking the time today. We're really proud of the work the team has done to bring this new integration automation capability to customers. And we, like I said, it's been game changing for us, and we think it's been game changing for customers who have adopted it. So please, if you're not using it, definitely reach out to our team, reach out to your CSM, have a conversation with us, and let's get you started. Thanks very much.